Okay, after a glorious 19-year career that started as a young boy who played in Sikandrabad earlier, moved to Delhi and then played local level football to the Indian team, to even playing on foreign shores, he's finally, hung up his boots. The highest goal scorer ever for India with 94 goals. Joining us is Sunil Chhetri. Sunil, thank you so much for speaking to India today. And the first question that I want to really ask you is that it's been a week since you've retired. I want to know, what did you have for lunch, dinner, lunch, dinner, lunch, dinner after a boring life of 19 years? Did the cuisine change or not?
Yeah, some of the meals were more for the taste and not for the health. I would not want to disclose what I ate, but yeah, more than that, a lot of time with the family, with my kid, wife, mom and dad are here, more relaxed, just staying occupied, not thinking about what has happened, having those cheat meals. Everything is going fine right now.
One thing I always wanted to ask you, that whenever anybody talks about Sunil Chhetri, whenever there was a profile made or an interview starts, as I did today, mention those 94 goals, the highest or the third highest in active players. We journalists often use this stat data. I often wonder, how do you see it? Do you find it confidence boosting sometime, or do you find it amusing? How do you see this particular stat? There's Ronaldo, there's Messi, there's Sunil Chhetri.
So whenever a footballing person is talking about it, I am absolutely thrilled. I take a lot of pride because I know a footballing person understand what the comparison is. The comparison is purely on the basis of what we have done for our countries. And I will
Yeah.
compete, and I did compete against anyone in the world. When it comes to doing my best for the country, I've done it. If given a chance, I'll do it again. But when it goes to a realm of people trying to compare the kind of players we are, that's where it's amusing, and I laugh, and I think it is ridiculous because there is no comparison whatsoever between me, Messi, and Ronaldo. There are
Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands of players like me who are huge fans of both Messi and Ronaldo. So only at that moment when, if I may say so, the new footballing fans who do not probably have much knowledge, and if they are cracking about it or just talking about it, I find it amusing because all the footballing people, they understand this. There is no comparison. But yes, I
Hmm.
would compete. I did, and I will, against anyone when it comes to giving my best to the country is concerned.
Okay, you're talking about people who follow football. So, the day you announced your retirement, we did a podcast with a few football journalists who've been following football for a long time. And the one question that came across was, is Sunil the greatest footballer to play for India? And everyone had a different opinion. And I'd picked Sunil as the greatest ever, having seen many other footballers before you, in a Baichung and an I am Vijayan, in a Mahesh Kauli, all of that. And I had my reasons. So I'm not going to dwell into those reasons. But do you ever think about that the legacy you're leaving behind, people talking about greatest ever to play for India?
No, because it's not true. Because
Okay.
I'm not trying to be humble. Okay, let me say this. Forget me. Let's suppose we're talking about an I am Vijayan and a
Mm.
PK Banerjee, for example. Okay, you can't compare because the eras were different, the circumstances were different, what they did was different, who they did against was different. It's
Mm.
difficult to compare. I'm keeping myself away, yeah? From a vantage point.
Yeah, yeah.
It is very difficult. I would never compare myself with anyone because I have so much respect for them.
Mm.
Now, what my legacy should be, and I hope it is, I worked tremendously hard. And I just hope every player now in the dressing room, I know they know it, and they try to emulate it, and they get inspired by me. I just
Mm.
hope whoever talks about me in terms of legacy, they do understand that you really got to work hard, especially when you get a chance to play for a country. It's not a joke. You have
Mm.
the power to make 1.5 billion people happy. Do not take it for granted. The least you can do is just go out and give whatever you have. Do not take an inch of complacency. Just go out and just give your best. And I think that should be my legacy. I hope that is my legacy. That here there was someone who really worked hard.
Okay, let me ask you, put you in a spot. Of course, you have to keep yourself out of this debate and not going back into footballers that you never saw, but from the ones that you saw, who do you think was the greatest according to you?
Oh.
Okay, should I make it easier for you? Should I reverse the question, or you want to answer that? Or I can even make it
I
slightly easier. Huh.
I will try. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I have watched very less of Ambai, and I loved what I saw. But because you're talking about the best in the country, and I'm keeping myself aside, I would say Baichumbai. There are many that come in my head, but the sheer determination and the hunger that I saw in that person was unmatched. And again, I must say I have seen much more of Baichumbai. I've played with him for
Mm.
6 years for the national team, so I might be biased. I mean, one more name comes in my head. A lot of people don't understand that is JJ. He did really
Yeah.
well for the country at his prime, but it was short-lived. But yeah, I think if I have to name one guy, and there are so many who are going to get annoyed, but yes, Baichumbai had that impact on me, and yeah.
I wanted to know, ever since you retired, I'm sure you got loads of messages and congratulatory messages and people looking back at your career. Who was the biggest name from the world of football, or the sweetest message that you got after you announced your retirement?
See, and as far as big names are concerned, there are many. I mean,
Uh,
getting a message from Modric was huge. Getting a message from the FIFA boss was good.
wow.
Virat messaging was huge. But I'm throwing names because people like
Yeah.
hearing names. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like to hear it.
one of the sweetest messages that really made me choke was, I don't know the guy's name, and he made a video as to why I shouldn't retire. And he started his journey with me. He started watching football with me. I'm so sorry I forgot his name. And 3 days he made me cry in the bathroom because it just choked me. He talked about how he has grown with my career. He talked about ups and downs. He talked about growing up in football with me, and it was unbelievable. Then at those times you realize what a beautiful life you had. Because I'll tell you something. When you go to the
Yeah,
airports, when you go outside, when people talk about when they want autographs, photographs, after some time you get used to it. It's just like routine. Okay, you have to go there, you give as much autographs as possible, you move on, you don't think about it. But after a
yeah,
time, the kind of fan mail and messages I got, they were overwhelming. It was unbelievable the kind of love that, and that's why I said that there aren't many sports people in the world, sorry, in my country, who have got more love. I'm so fortunate. And one of
yeah.
those videos really made me choked before six, because they were unbelievably good. And I just wish them all the very best in whatever they're doing in their life.
One, I want to know, and I remember covering it very closely. It was the time that the QPR, call came, and it wasn't because of you. It was where India were ranked in the FIFA ranking at that time. You could not make that switch. Do you think life would have turned out differently at that time? You'd been eligible, so had India been in that situation within the FIFA ranking, and you could get a work permit, things would have been different in your career.
See, at that time, I thought like that. I had that
Hmm,
regret for a short period of time, but I moved
hmm,
on.
hmm.
It didn't bother me. I didn't think about what would have happened. But I can tell you one thing that always stays with me is I was 26 when I went to Sporting Lisbon. I had a
Yeah,
4 year long deal, but in 1 year I came back because I didn't get enough chances. One, I wouldn't say regret. It's a very big word because I have an amazing life. But I wish I had gone to Sporting when I was 16. I wish I had those 4 years to burn. I wish, because when 26 I was at Sporting B, it was itching me that I wasn't playing every week. I only played 5 games at two coming from the bench. It wasn't enough for my morale, and I made the switch back to India. If I had gone to Sporting Lisbon when I was 16, playing with
yeah.
Sporting B, the likes of Eric Dyer, Bruma, and all those superstars, I would have stayed there for 4 years. And then I don't know what would have happened. Still, probably the life that I've got is outstanding. And I don't
Hmm.
want to use the word regret, but yeah, sometimes I think that I wish I was 16 when I went to Sporting.